Keep in mind the announcement that has been shared with you, and I pray that you will govern yourselves according to those announcements. Sister Tracy, come on and write on the board for us tonight, and join in with me in verse of a song as she comes.
Amen.
I love the Lord. He heard me cry. Love the Lord. He heard my cry and pitied my every groan, and I love the Lord. He bowed his head. I love the Lord. He bowed his head and chased my grief away. Chased my grief away. I love the Lord. He heard me crying. I love the Lord. He heard my cry and pitied my every groan, and God bless you. God bless you. Thank you tonight. And Sister Tracy, I want you to write on the board for us tonight as we share. We have shared with you in the previous lessons. We talked about a few weeks ago, because Jesus passed by. Because Jesus passed by, a blind beggar received his sight. Because Jesus passed by, a blind beggar received his sight. We shared with you in another session, because Jesus passed by, a widow's song, a widow's sorrow rather, was turned to joy. Luke 7, verses 11 through 16. I want you to put on the board that Jesus makes a difference. He makes a difference in our lives and in any given situation. And we must learn how to depend God. The other thing, there is no problem too big for God to solve. He can solve all of our problems. While we're trying to figure it out, the Lord has already worked it out. However, on tonight we want to talk about, because Jesus passed by, a stormy night became calm. God can calm the storms in our lives.
Yes, sir.
He can calm the storms in our lives. And all of us that's here, those that have tuned in to us tonight, have been in a storm, or either on their way in a storm or coming out of a storm. Is that right? And so we are familiar with storms. There are storms, financial storms.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is that right? There are family storms.
Yes, sir.
And there are all kinds of storms that will come in our lives to let us know that God is still in charge.
Yes, sir.
Is that right?
Yes.
And so tonight we want to talk about a stormy night becomes calm. Mark the 6th chapter, verse 45 through 52. 45 through 52. Luke the 6th chapter, and beginning with verse 45. And Jesus straightway he constrained his disciples to get into a ship and to go to the other side before unto Bethesda, while he sent away the people. Storms will come.
Yes, sir.
The disciples, Tracy, the disciples was caught in a dreadful situation. No matter what the storm may be, financial, family storms, or whatever it might be, in a dreadful situation, whenever you're in a storm. Windstorm, dust storm, hail, and all of that. Is that right? These are storms in our lives that will make us call on Jesus. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Some people won't pray until trouble has invaded their lives, until they're about to be evicted, until sickness, until death has come. Then we pray, we beg, we plead, and ask God to do great things for us. But in return, we owe God something for all that he does for us.
Amen.
And Mrs. Ruckel from Kankakee, Illinois, came back to the Eastern South many years ago, who was the former First Lady. She got up and she began to say, I owe the Lord so much. I'm in so much debt. And you know, sometimes when people get up and say, I'm in debt, we think about money.
Yeah.
But she said, I owe the Lord so much. I'm in debt. Is that right? She says, I'm in debt. I'm indebted to the Lord because he's been good to me. He kept me clothed in my right mind.
Thank you, Lord.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
He gave me the activities of my limbs.
Yes, sir.
And whenever a person does something for you, you ought to say thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is that right? And so the psalmist, as you are aware, the psalmist says in Psalms 116 and verse 12, what shall I render? So you got to forget about other people and think about your own life, what God has done for you. Hasn't God blessed you? woke you up this morning, started you on your way. And even though as you drove down, as you drove to work this morning, and God kept you safe. On your job, nobody went crazy. And you do know people are going crazy sitting right at that desk. They're blowing up buildings while we are in them, and yet God keep us.
Yes, sir.
Is that right? He allows us to come home safe and sound. What shall I render
Yeah, what?
unto the Lord for all of his benefits?
Yes, sir.
Is that right? Toward me. Church, God has been good to us. He has been good to us. Nobody ought to have to touch us on our shoulder and say we ought to praise God. We ought to do that anyway.
That's right. That's right.
Because if it had not been for the Lord on our side, our enemies would have destroyed us. So these disciples were caught in a dreadful situation. They're obedient, Tracy. They're obedient. Caused them to be in a peculiar situation. They're obedient. Caused the disciples to be in a peculiar situation. When you do things for God, when you do what's right, you're going to find yourself in a peculiar situation. Your own family won't understand you sometimes. Is that right? But in verse 1 here, listen what he says in verse 1 of Mark, the 6th chapter, verse 6. Verse 6. Well, look at verse 45. Verse 45 says what? And straightway he constrained his disciples. These are Jesus' disciples. He loved them. Is that right?
Yeah.
But Jesus sends his disciples seemingly into a dangerous situation.
Yes, sir.
Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Sometime in growing up, you get into a dangerous situation and mama jumping because she's afraid we're going to hurt ourselves, but she does it because we can grow from some things. See, Dr. E.V. Hill in Los Angeles, California, I believe, he talked about years ago what the little chicken saw. The little chicken struggled trying to get out of the eggshell. And finally, he stuck his head out of the eggshell and saw what was going on all around him. And the little chicken wanted to go back because of what he saw. And we're living in a world tonight where there's so much confusion. I mean, if you really listen to radios and televisions and read the newspaper and hear crazy folks talking, you too will join that crazy crowd. We become confused. Is that right? And I hear people say that they become confused about the word. Ain't nothing confusing about the word of God. See, God makes it plain. Isn't that so?
That's right.
Well, Jesus, here in verse 45, he says, and straightway he constrained, Jesus constrained his disciples to get into the ship and to go to the other side. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Go to the other side. All the disciples did was, the disciples' lives was in danger because of their obedience to God. Their life was in danger because they're obedient to God. See, it was God who said to them, let us go. Let's go to the other side. He constrained them. But in the midst of danger, Tracy, in the midst of a dangerous situation, God still take care of his people.
Yes, sir.
still take care. It was a dangerous situation. It was a dangerous situation when Daniel was in the lion's den.
Yes, sir.
Didn't God take care of it?
Yes, he did.
He not only brought him out, but while he was in the midst of dangerous lions,
Yeah.
he took care of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. God can take care of us. B, in the midst, the Hebrew boys, in the midst of the fiery furnace,
Yeah.
a dangerous situation in parentheses. In the midst of the fiery furnace, dangerous situation, God took care of the Hebrew boys. Hey, read for me. I believe it's Daniel, the 3rd chapter, verse 16, 17, perhaps 18. God can take care of us. Even with all of this mess and confusion that's around us tonight, God is still taking care of us. All right?
You said Daniel 6.
The 3rd chapter. Verse 16 and 17.
16 and 17 says, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Now these are three young men, church said, 3 young men. You don't have to wait till you get old to serve God. You can serve God while you're young.
That's right.
He wants some of your useful time.
That's right.
While you can hop and skip and jump and walk for miles without crutches. And get up without a lift.
Yeah. All right.
Is that right?
That's right.
But usually, not in all cases, usually young people don't have time. Most young people don't have time for the church and neither God.
That's right.
Is that right? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego was young men. All right?
Answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter.
Now, most of the time we get in a lot of trouble trying to figure out something to come back after God. If God says do it, it ain't up for discussion. It's not up for debate. Just do it. Jesus' mother said whatsoever he said,
Yeah.
just do it.
That's right.
Is that right?
That's right.
And by being obedient to God, you always come out victorious.
That's right.
These boys, young boys, read.
If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us.
Do you know it took some courage and some faith to tell the king, if he don't, he's able.
Yes, sir.
And by the way, if he don't, we're not going to serve your God.
That's right. Right.
Yeah.
What happened?
Why would you want to trade a God in
What's the difference?
that has arms and legs and come to where you are for somebody that can't move?
That's right.
Gotcha.
That's right.
Are you with me?
That's right.
Why would you serve a God? Trade in a God that has all power for somebody who don't have no power.
Amen.
We're not thinking right. And many people, Judas, for instance, he sold Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. Have you ever gotten anything you wish to God that you hadn't gotten?
All right. All right.
Judas said, I made a big mistake. I sold my bread of life, getting with the wrong crowd. And the wrong crowd sometimes will push you and push you out front and then back up and leave you out there by yourself.
Absolutely.
Judas had the 30 pieces of silver in his hand. But he thought about what he had did. And he took it back and and they wouldn't take it back. He threw it down
Yeah.
and went out and hung himself.
Yeah. That's right.
And his bowels gushed out through his mouth. When you mess up in life, when you made a fool of yourself, ain't but one thing for you to do is to fall down on your knees, repent of your sin, and ask God to forgive you. 1 John 1:9 says he will forgive you. He's faithful. He's just. Nobody else going to treat us like the Lord. He's going to be fair by us. God didn't give us what we really deserve. He showed us mercy and grace. So these Hebrew boys was in a dangerous situation. All right?
The God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy God.
Listen, I said Sunday morning, I believe Sunday, that there comes a time that you got to stop listening to a fool. I mean, if you keep listening to them, they'll have you just like them.
That's right.
Is there anything too hard for God? People say, I got faith, I believe in God. But faith is to be demonstrated,
That's right.
not to be just talked about.
Right.
See, faith is to be, it's an action word.
Yes, sir.
And the book says that we walk by faith and not by sight. Somebody read for me right quick. Psalm 78 and verse 41. See, we have limited God. The churches have limited God.
Yes.
Is that right?
That's right.
As if God cannot keep us. If God can do what God promised us to protect us.
Yes.
And we want to use sense against God. Now, see, read Psalm 78, begin with verse 40.
How often did they provoke him in the wilderness?
How often have Buffalo? How often have New Zion, Eastern Star, Memorial?
Help us, Pastor, help us.
Are you with me?
That's right. Oh,
How often have we provoked God?
Lord have mercy.
We got to get to the point that we stop limiting God, and we put a limit on him as he can only do certain things. But there's nothing too hard for God. We got to do what 1 Peter 5:7 says, casting all of our cares upon him. Is that right?
That's right.
He'll take care of us. We used to sing a song back in Arkansas, God will take care of you. I'm a witness that God will take care of you. You got to learn how to lean on him, trust him, and obey him, and you'll come out all right on the other side. Is that right? Read on, shall
How often did they provoke him in the wilderness and grieve him in the desert?
How many times have we grieved God? So many. We grieve God. We cause him to weep. We cause him to moan because of our short-sightedness. Read on.
Yea, they turned back and tempted God and limited the Holy One of Israel.
They turned back and limited the Holy One. All right?
They remembered not his hand, nor the day when he delivered them from the enemy.
How can you forget somebody
I know he
that fed you when you was hungry?
right.
How can you forget somebody that brought you out of your dilemma? How can you forget? How can you forget somebody that fought and made your enemies your footstool?
How?
In other words, right on the board, before you can be thankful, you got to think. We come this far by faith, leaning and depending on Jesus. We come this far by faith, Read on, sister.
How he had wrought his signs in Egypt and his wonders in the field of Zon, and had turned their rivers into blood and their floods that they could not drink. He sent divers sort of flies among them, which devoured them, and frogs which destroyed them.
Listen, look at all these things
Yeah.
that God used to destroy the enemies.
Yeah.
God will destroy your enemies right in front of you.
Oh, yes, he will.
And then God has a way of protecting you, letting you walk right in the midst of your enemies and still protect you from their harm.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Genesis 50:20 says, you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. Some people want you to fail.
That's right.
Some people want to keep you upset, but you keep on smiling.
That's right.
That you meant it for evil. And them same boys that sold him into slavery,
That's right.
he ended up having to feed them.
That's right.
Is that right?
That's right.
Don't try to handle your problem yourself. Give it to God and let God work it out.
Watch him work.
See, watch him work.
Watch him work.
He'll work it out. Read on.
He gave also their increase unto the caterpillar, and their labor unto the locust. He destroyed their vines with hail, and their sycamore trees.
Listen, we're living in a world today. Think of it. We're living in a world today where we can't see that God is working on us.
Yes. Yes. Yes, sir.
You putting in all of my hours through the week. Is that right? You said this check is free. All of my bills are paid, and some of us we got more money doing this episode than we did when we just.
Pastor, please.
I know you're right.
We get double checks and double food stamps.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, he loaded us up.
Lord is a- Lord is a-
And still we won't pay God his time. He didn't ask you for the whole check. He said, I just want 10% of it. And 10% of $100 is $10. And he said, you keep the rest of it. 10% of $200 is $20. And he said, you keep the other $180. You come out on top when you obey God. And God, you come out with, in other words, he keeps on loading us up with blessings. Will a man rob God?
Yes.
Yes, he will. And we ain't got to, see, listen, this thing about serving God is that all you have to do is just do what he said. He didn't ask you for the whole check. Just 10%. And then he left it up to you to give whatsoever you desire to give. And the more you give, the more he gives to you. Acts 20:35 says, the Lord loveth a cheerful giver. Is that right? And so, sometimes we make our own storm. Right on the board, that sometimes we create our own storm.
That's right, Pastor.
Amen.
For instance, Jonah created his own storm
Amen.
by being disobedient.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Whenever you don't do what's right, you're creating your own storm and your own problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jonah created. The Lord said, Jonah, go to Nineveh. All the Lord wanted Jonah to do to deliver a message.
Yes, sir.
And he didn't have sense enough to do that.
Not one.
You can't make nobody take their light bill. Even though it may be a cutoff notice. You can't make them take it.
Amen.
If you're a mail carrier, your job is just to deliver the mail.
That's all.
He might like sitting in the dark. And if he don't pay his bill, they gonna cut it off. And if they cut it off, it's gonna cost you more to get it back on. And so when we disobey God, it costs us. Yeah, we pay a great price. Sin when we sin, we have to pay
That's right.
for our sin.
That's right.
You run the stop sign. You say, I'm sorry. That don't stop the man from writing your ticket.
Amen.
That caution.
Yeah, it costs you.
Amen.
Yeah. Our sin costs us.
Amen.
Yeah. And God is the only one that I know can whoop us and never leave us alone.
That's right. That's right.
Amen.
He can make our lives so miserable that yet we got a pocket full of money, we living in a good home, driving a new car and all of that. But he can make our lives so miserable that we drive down the street, tears meeting on our teeth.
Lord have mercy.
Like the song used to say, I couldn't sleep at all last night. Couldn't sleep at all. God could fix it so you can't sleep.
Amen.
And yet, you got a king side bed,
That's right.
air blowing.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm tossing and turning. Sometimes we toss and turn because we rob God. And we get up and go on like we ain't done anything wrong. If the police is looking for me and my picture is on the board and on paper, and I know where Stoudemire is, he's looking for Stoudemire. I can't flag the police down and say I know where Stoudemire is. He's looking for me too. So before he gets Stoudemire, he gonna get me first. What's your name? Since you know so much, what is your name? What is your address? Yeah. We pay a great price. Read on, Sister H. What verse you?
Verse 18.
Verse 18.
But if not, be it known unto thee, O king.
But be it known. These boys are in a storm. Be it known. That what?
That we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set.
You know that there's some position, there's some groups I don't want to be a part of.
Amen.
July 4th is right around the corner. And you got to be careful having folks over to your house and the yard sprayed with people. Yeah. You got to know who you're inviting into your house.
Amen.
You got to know the crowd you hang with. Innocent people have been killed.
Yes, sir.
Innocent people have been shot.
That's right.
I know we are glad to see our children graduate. Right in Toledo. They put on Facebook that anybody was welcome and they were having a party for graduation. 2 or 3 people got killed because they just shot up the neighborhood. You need to know something about the people you invite to your party.
Right?
And then listen to this. You need to know some of your friends, some of your children's friends, who they hang with. I'm so glad that my mama, they let me just hang with somebody.
I know you're right, Pastor.
Mama would say that crowd ain't for you. No. See? And just cause the crowd. See, sometimes you better off passing on the other side than staying on this side walking. Pass by
Yeah.
on the other side.
Amen.
Aren't you glad that your child graduated? Aren't you glad that they do good? But you ought to find some other way to let them know you appreciate it. They ain't doing no more than what they were supposed to do. When you go to school, you're supposed to learn.
That's right.
You're supposed to graduate. And we pay our children sometimes for doing wrong. We said, now if you clean up your room, is that right? If you don't talk back to mama, if you don't do this to daddy, I'm gonna let you go to the shop and say, you paying them to do right. Yeah. It's their job to make up that bed.
Amen.
Yeah, they're 15 and mama got to make up that bed behind them.
Right, Shepherd.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. These jobs that y'all got now, some of these children got now, delivering newspaper, talking about that's a chore. At 5 years of age, I'm picking cotton. You got a 15-year-old boy in your house, a 15-year-old girl, and you started washing dishes. You taking out the garbage, cutting grass. Yeah. You got a husband and you out there cutting grass.
That's backwards.
Are you with me?
Amen.
Listen what he says. What else he said?
Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was charged against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more.
Listen what the king said. He heated hot. Yeah. Make it real hot.
Yeah.
Because we got some tough fellas out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, read.
And he commanded the most mighty men that served were in his army to bind Shadrach.
I want the strongest men that I have to come and bind these men. All right?
And to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen in their hats, and their other garments.
Looked like it would have pulled off the hat. But they clothes, hat, and all of that. All right?
And were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and
See, though Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego, no harm came on them.
Yeah.
But the blaze came up
Yeah.
and got those that put it in there. Read.
And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down, bound in the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? The
See,
king-
he needed a witness that we put 3 men in, but here's another man in there.
That's right, Pastor.
See, you got a protector. They may not see it, but you got a protector. See, and you got to learn how to trust. Let him protect you.
Amen.
See, you don't have to fight if the Lord is on your side. He will fight for you. And he says the enemies you saw yesterday, you won't see no more.
Yes,
Teach,
sir.
Pastor.
Let God fight your battle. Let God handle the storm. Read on.
They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt.
Y'all know who the 4th man was? Yeah. The 4th man. They put in 3, but now they see 4.
Yeah.
See? In other words, when the storms of life is raging, God is already there. See? Wherever David says, if I make my bed in hell, thou art there. If I take the wings of the dove and fly away, he's there.
That's right.
Where can you go to get away from God?
Nowhere.
Nowhere.
You can't run out running, you can't hide from him. Your arms are too short to box with God. What else he said?
And the form of the 4th is like the Son of God. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near the mouth of the burning fiery furnace and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God, come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth in the midst of the fire.
They came forward in the midst of the fire.
Yes, sir.
They walking in the fire.
Yeah.
And you got to know sometimes, you in the midst of devils, in the midst of haters.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Teach, Pastor.
You got to know that. And that's why the songwriter says all night, all day, the angel is watching over me.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I'm determined that I'm going to serve God.
I know you're right, Pastor.
What else he said?
And the princes, governors, and captains and the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men, upon whose body the fire had no power, nor was a hair on their head singed.
Now they in the fiery furnace. The furnace has been heated higher
Yes, sir.
than ever before. The hair was not. They didn't even smell like
All
smoke.
right.
Clothes were not. See, before you burn up, the clothes got to burn up.
That's right. Verse.
See. All right?
Neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of the fire had passed on them. Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and delivered his servants.
Now he had sense enough to know that his God had sent the angel. In this day and age, there's no better time for us as Christians. Don't run and hide because of what's going on. Stand boldly and let people know, for God I live, for God I die. Yeah, we got a better place to go when we leave him here.
Amen.
We're in Russia trying to get out, but there's another place better than we sit in that temple every day. We accepted Christ when we was wrong, when we were young. Made him the captain of our lives. Is that right?
That's right.
We got another home, a mansion to go to. The streets are paved with gold. No more light bill. No more thieves breaking in on us. No more lies told on us. Because there'll be a certain class of people.
A certain class. Teach, Pastor.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And so we have to trust God. Thank you, Lord. Listen. Erase that. Even though Jesus was wearied from the day's event, right on board that Jesus was a hard worker. It says, even though Jesus was wearied from the day's event, and Jesus had fed 5,000 people. He had healed some people. I hear Jesus saying, I must work the works of him that sent me while in the day. Deliver me from tired Christians. Been an hour in service, I'm tired.
Help us, Pastor. Help us.
You ain't tired from witnessing for Jesus,
All right.
for working for him. You tired from going to the casino, from running to every sale. The Galleria Mall is closed, but Macy ain't closed.
That's right, Pastor. You know.
You tell somebody, child, they got a sale at Macy.
Right about
And here you are, can't hardly get a child, come on, take me to Macy. But when it comes time to prayer meeting, child, I ain't going to prayer meeting, Arthur, right? Oh, Arthur got me. Y'all know anybody like that? So many people lie on God. And I guarantee you, if you got a problem, if you hurt, if you just make it to church, when you get to the church, God will ease the pain.
Yes, sir.
You feel better.
Yes, sir.
You hang around disgruntled people and people that are confused. They can't help but to draw the life out of you, sap the life out of you.
Yes, sir.
Amen.
I ain't got time for people complaining. Just walk on by me.
Yeah.
I got enough problem myself.
Teach.
I'm not the one that you can dump your garbage on and you go on and have fun. So since you got a problem and I got a problem, let's work on it together. Let's go to the right person. Jesus can solve all of our problems at the same time.
At the same time. That's the good part. At the same time.
Yeah. If God. Listen what it said. Jesus passed by and met the disciples at that point of need. He passed by, but he met the disciples at that point of need. Verse 48 says, or verse 47 says, and when the evening was come,
Yes, sir.
the ship was in the midst of the sea, and alone on the land. And he was alone on the land. Verse 48 said, and Jesus saw them.
Yes.
Jesus, where can you go to hide from God?
Where?
Jesus saw them toiling and rowing,
Yeah.
for the wind was contrary unto them. And about the fourth watch of the night, Jesus cometh unto them, walking on what?
The sea.
Walking on the sea. Not in the water, but walking on the water.
That's right.
See, you walking in the sea, and would have passed by them. But verse 49 says, but when they saw him walking on the sea, they supposed that it had been a spirit and cried out. Verse 50 says what?
For they all saw him.
But they all saw him. Right on the board. Right on the board. That Jesus was powerful
Yes, sir.
in both words and works. Jesus spoke some powerful words, and he demonstrated that he had power in his work.
That's right.
Right on the board, that Jesus was a masterful teacher.
Yes, sir.
Jesus was full of wisdom. And then the other thing, men were offended by Jesus working and his power. Look at Mark 6 and verse 3. Mark 6 and verse 3. Read this.
Is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary?
Listen to that. Jesus chose to be a carpenter when he could have been anything else that he wanted to be.
That's right.
He wanted to be a carpenter. He could have been anything that he wanted to be, but he chose to be. That's why. If you're going to be an usher, if you're going to be a deacon, if you're going to be a trustee, if you're going to be a choir member, you ought to be faithful to your calling.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Amen.
You chose that.
That's right.
It doesn't?
That's right.
Chose that.
Read on.
The brother of James and Joseph, and of Judah, and of Simon, and are not his sisters here with us? And they were offended at him.
They were offended at Jesus. Verse 4.
But Jesus said unto them, a prophet is not without honor, but in his own country, and among his own kin.
Sometimes, right on the board, sometimes people on the outside think more of you than your own family.
Come on now.
Amen. Amen.
Sometimes people on the outside think more of you
Yes, sir.
and appreciate you more than some of your own flesh and blood.
Pastor. Go ahead, Pastor.
This is a terrible society that we're living in. Read on, sister.
And in his own house.
In his own house, a prophet is without honor, saving his own country. All right?
And he could there do no mighty work.
And it goes on to say, and among his own kin, and in his own house. Good God Almighty. If anybody's house ought to be in order, it ought to be those of us who say we love God.
That's right, Pastor.
I know where you're going to have somebody in your house doing what they want to do. You going to church, but they staying at home.
Yeah, right.
Help us, Pastor.
Yeah, wait on the porch. Because this door going to be locked.
Yeah.
And you better not break the window in. I was called today, and the woman said, and when you mess around with folks that's doing everything, she said, my back door been kicked in. Evidently, you messing with the wrong crowd.
Amen.
You got people sitting up in your house. Sometimes they just come and look and see what you got. And then when you go to work or when you're not at home, and you got to be careful on the Facebook. I'm out of town now. They said, that's my chance. And they go there and break in your house, get your 60-inch television,
That's right.
and go right down the street and sell it for $10.
Right.
Because they got a habit that need to be met.
That's real.
Real shepherd.
Let me hurry to a close. Read on, daughter.
Save that he laid his hands upon a few sick folk.
Unbelief. Unbelief will hinder your progress.
Yeah.
That's right.
Jesus couldn't do no work there. Could only do a little work. Is that right?
That's right.
He could there do no mighty works, save that he laid hands upon a few sick folks
Yeah.
and healed them.
Healed them.
Well, I don't believe he can do it. You know, that's Mary's song. One of my members was having a problem, and I said, baby, why don't you let this person help you with it? I don't want them to know my business. Everybody know your business. If this person is good and that, and don't be afraid to ask the person, how do you do this? Let somebody help you, or else you go through life being ignorant.
Yes, sir.
Amen. Teach, Pastor.
That's right.
Amen.
Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Amen.
Don't let pride get in the way. Pride will hinder
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
your progress. Thank you, Satan. He passed by. Many people get caught in life situations that destroys them. Sometimes our own situation destroys us.
Amen.
Too much pride.
Too much pride. Amen.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Baby, if you need a doctor, you don't care whether it's a Chinese, a Indian, a black, a Muslim, or whatever he is. All you want is some help.
Help. Amen.
That's right, Pastor. Just help me.
Many people get caught up in life situations
Yeah.
that destroys them. But Jesus passed by and brings deliverance.
Oh, yes, he does.
Is that right?
Yes, he does.
Let him into your heart. Let him into your heart. Stop wrestling with your problem.
Yeah.
Invite him to, Lord, come in.
Oh, yes.
I know you can handle the situation. The woman that had been bleeding for 12 long years had heard about Jesus, and she said, I may not get to where he is, but I'm going down. If I can just touch the hem of his garments,
Yes, sir.
No.
I'll be made whole.
Do it.
While you trying to work it out or figured out,
Right.
God has already
Already, Pastor.
worked it out.
Thank you, Lord.
Let me close with this by saying, erase that. Jesus prayed 3 times at least we know. Jesus prayed. Right quick. Jesus prayed. Number 1, Jesus prayed for unity for all believers. When you get home, read John 17. He wanted the believers to have unity. If the believers don't have unity,
My Lord.
if the church is confused, what is the world going to be? See, number 2, Jesus prayed for God's will to be done. Not my will,
Yeah.
but let your will be done. Jesus prayed for God's will, even at his expense.
Yes, sir.
Somebody read for me Luke 22 and verse 42. He prayed. And no wonder the Lord was so powerful. He was a man of prayer.
Yes, sir.
All right? Somebody.
Saying, Father, if thou be willing.
He said, Father, if thou be willing.
Yes, sir.
All right?
Remove this cup from me.
Remove this cup
My Lord.
from me. All right?
Nevertheless, not my will.
See, we need some nevertheless people in the church.
Yes, Lord. Yes,
I know they're going to talk about them, but nevertheless.
yes, sir.
I know they don't like me, but nevertheless,
I hear you, shepherd.
Teach, Pastor.
I'm going.
I'm going.
Oh, yes.
They didn't want Jesus to go back and help and raise Lazarus from the dead. The disciples said, Lord, they were going to kill you.
Yeah.
But Jesus said, I got to go back because Lazarus, Martha, and Mary loved me.
Yeah.
They had demonstrated that love.
Yes, sir.
I wish I could tell the whole story. Sometimes we talk about we love. But Lucy loved the church.
Yes, she did. Yes,
Lucy loved God.
yes,
Lucy loved her pastor.
yes, she did.
Evidence.
Lucy loved people.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is that right?
That's
Yes,
right.
sir.
Some people just go around talking. Ain't?
Yeah, yeah. Bumping girls.
That's right.
Evidence.
You want to tell them something? Fool, keep your mouth shut.
Show me.
Show me. I was married 46 years. I didn't have to ask my wife, do you love me? She showed me she loved me.
Yes, sir.
You're right, Pastor.
You in bad shape if you got to ask your husband or wife, do you love me? There ought to be some evidence. You make the mouth say what you want and say, yes, I love you.
That's right. Then can you handle what they tell you the truth?
Uh-oh.
Read verse 42 again, right quick.
Saying, Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thy be done.
There comes a time in all of our lives that we all want to please God
Amen.
rather than ourselves.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I wish I could stand here and tell you tonight that I please everybody.
Pastor.
Some people I rub wrong.
Amen.
That's right.
I can't spend no restless night wondering whether you like me or not.
I hear you.
That don't come up before me.
I hear you.
I want to please the Lord
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
because in the end,
Yes, sir.
He's the one that's going to have the final word.
That's right, Pastor.
Thank you, Lord. Jesus prayed for the forgiveness of those who caused his suffering. He prayed. Jesus was a man of prayer. And you and I got to pray.
Yes, sir.
If Jesus had to pray, what about us?
That's right.
Luke 23 and 34. Listen to what he said. 34th verse says, Then said Jesus,
Yeah.
Father,
Father.
Forgive them,
forgive them,
for they know they
You got to know there's some people that's going to do you wrong, but you got to pray anyhow. You got to love them anyhow. He says, Father, what? Forgive them. For they what?
They know not what they do.
They know not what they do.
And they pardon his maintenance and cast lots.
Here's a man dying. Here's a man got a phony crown on his head. Here's a man got nails in his hand.
That's right.
He didn't pray for himself.
Uh-huh.
But he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
They didn't know that.
And there are times in our lives that we got to pray
That's right. I know you're right.
for those that hate us. And then there are times that you got to stop focusing on them
Oh, yes.
and say, Lord, help me.
Help me. That's right.
Help me to be able to respond the right way.
That's right.
Help me to be able to love them no matter what they do or say. People can say some things that will hurt your heart. You know you're not guilty, but no matter what you say, ain't gonna make no difference. They still gonna be haters. If they don't love God, they don't love themselves, ain't no way in the world they can love you.
Amen.
And you got to be proudful. Lord, help me. Lord, help me not to become bitter and evil toward them. Is that right? Thank you, Lord. Listen, thank you so kindly for having tuned in and having shared with us tonight. And if you're ever in the city of Buffalo, New York, stop by the church at 318 High Street, the New Zion Baptist Church, and 770 Humboldt Parkway at the Memorial Baptist Church, and the Eastern Star Baptist Church in Toledo, 2102 Mulberry Street, and we'd be happy to have you share it with us. The church is where we teach the Word of God, we love each other, we fellowship one with another. And we would love to have you to share with us. May God bless you and may He have a smile upon you.